We'll start off with how we met. Her brother's name was Chancedale, and he used to throw rocks at me at lunch when I first moved to Chapel. I was 15. Ugh, 15% battery warning. My car overheated out of radiator fluid again, so I gotta wait for it to cool down. That's why I'm walking instead of driving to the Dalles. Currently, anyway. So let's get back to Candace. Candace is Chance's little sister. I knew who she was, but not much beyond that. I didn't get to know her until, well, she was friends with a guy named Jeremiah Jensen. And anyway, long story short, I ended up homeless in Boulder. Jeremiah Jensen's always been a dick. And he's one of those people who thinks that artists should draw stuff for free. He'll promise to pay, he'll just never do it. He also doesn't give a clear description of what he wants. And if I'm gonna draw something 30 fucking times, you need to either pay me or I'm fucking done. Oh my God, what the hell is that? Is that a beaver? Oh my God, I think it is. All right, let me turn this around just so we can see whatever the animal is. Oh, it dove under the water. I must have been too loud. It's like a beaver or an otter or something. It wasn't real big. It was about the size of a, I don't know, medium dog, I guess. Maybe about the size of a corgi, a little bit longer. Screw it. Wherever it is, it's long gone. I was too loud. Alright, so Candace Bondurant. In 2016, when I went to Virginia, we kind of sort of become friends over the years. She had a lot of friends in common, like the Martindales, of course. She was friends with Justine. Anyway, after I hurt my back and everything was going to hell, and like Natalie kept on telling me I was her only support in Colorado. I told her I had to go. Candace said that she was going to come and get me. That was in 2016. She was going to come and get me so I didn't have to sleep under the Pigeon Ship Bridge. There's a few people who mention that in my stories, by the way. Not Candace coming to get me, but them having to sleep under Pigeon Ship Bridge behind the Boulder Public Library. Anyway, Candace did come and get me. This is after my back was messed up. This is after Natalie Bollinger had rescued me from committing suicide over abuse, mostly by the Boulder Police Department and my friends' lack of give a shit. They just didn't care. It's like once I was injured enough that I couldn't help them anymore physically, they just wanted to forget I existed. So when Natalie came into my life, she rescued me from that. I had somebody that could actually understand, hey, I got physical issues that prevent me from being able to do stuff, so, there's a lot of stuff I'm not able to do. She also tried to help me to get a job, one that I might be able to actually work. She wanted me to canvas to help save the bees. We'll skip over the Natalie part because we're talking about Candace, right? That's right. So, here's what happened with Candace. This is after the situation at Starbucks where Devin got the wrong idea. She's a pretty blonde-haired, blue-eyed white girl, so of course it didn't go well. I was trying to get somebody to listen to understand. It was a fucked up situation. And people just, they don't understand that when a homeless person is being victimized like that, you know, it's not a personal thing against you. Also, just because a homeless person is freaking out about something doesn't mean that they're after your vajayjay or want to touch your hiney. That's dumb. Anyway, I felt that Devin tried to do the right thing. She just didn't understand. Also, by the point that she did stop to actually listen, I'd already been having a panic attack for a few days. I mean, pretty severe. People don't get that. I'm used to people not showing up, but when it's something real serious and we could just squash this in 5 minutes, maybe we should try squashing it instead of letting it fester, because I know what's going to happen in the situation if we don't hash it out. I'm going to get victimized. I get a little more insistent now. I'm not as nice as I used to be. Well, let's get back to Candace Bondurant. So I'm at Candace Bondurant's. She's invited me to her place. This is while Natalie was still in Colorado before she moved to Virginia. And Natalie wanted me to go see her. And I was only supposed to be gone for 2 weeks. Since I was her only support there in Colorado, it was sober, she decided that she needed to leave. So she was gonna go see her mom with her sister. First, they were gonna drive through and see me on the way. Well, that didn't work out. And then they insisted that I go see them. Otherwise, they're not getting, well, Natalie's not getting on the plane. And then when I went to try to go see them, their phones were all off. It was Maddie, Natalie, and Alicia, and we had planned to meet up, and it just didn't happen. Now, it was on the day that we planned to meet up, at the time that we planned to meet up. I mean, I was on time. I had to pay somebody else money because I didn't have any vehicle of my own to take myself. That's David and Laura Nelson. They had told me that they would sell me that car, you know, the black one that is in some of the web sleuth sites, the black Honda Civic. I bought that from David and Laura Nelson. And I had to get a job, of course, at Subway. Well, I had heart issues, so I was fired from Subway, despite the fact that I did call in, I did let them know, and I did have the information and stuff from the hospital. What a pain. Anyway, so Jeremiah, he was supposed to pay me, and he didn't. And at that point in time, like, I had no money. I was spending 3 days in a row drawing pictures for Jeremiah Jensen that he's not fucking ever planning on paying me for. And so Candace, she got mad at me and said, well, aren't you supposed to be drawing a picture for Jeremiah? I'm like, look on the table. There's artwork all over the table. Well, he says that's not what he wants. I'm like, he won't fucking sit with me and tell me what he wants. He'll argue with me for 4 hours in typing. I don't understand what he wants. He needs to sit with me. If he can spend 4 hours typing, he can spend 5 minutes with me showing me what changes he needs, because I don't understand what the fuck he's trying to say. So then Candace tells me that I gotta go. And at this point, this is after Natalie has called me and told me that she's not going to get on the airplane with her sister. Obviously, since they can't drive, they have to get on the airplane. She's not getting on the airplane to go to Virginia unless I promise to go see her in Virginia. So I promised to go see her in Virginia. and me and Maddie start talking about it immediately. At that point in time, that's pretty much the friends that I had. Now, Candace said that I had to move out because her daughter's dad had a problem with any male being around his daughters, so I left. Now, later on, Candace told me a different story. She said that the reason she kicked me out is because I quit my job. I didn't quit my job. I had hospital issues. I had heart issues. On the bright side, I did work there long enough to make enough money to buy that car from David and Laura Nelson. And then I had to pay to get parts on it fixed. And then, of course, I had to save the money for the gas and the insurance. And by the time all that was done, Natalie Bollinger's family had been heroining her the fuck out. I don't mean giving it to her. I mean everything in her life that ever went wrong. It's all her fault because of her heroin use. Well, who started her on that heroin? I'll give you a hint. His name is Ted Bollinger. Was that not fucking subtle enough? Anyway, so at that point, Candace, she tells me that she kicked me out because her daughter's dad doesn't want any other males around his daughters. So, fine, I left. I went over to Dennis and Brenda Dickinson's house, and while I was there, that was when Natalie called me up and said that if I wasn't already on my way, she was going to kill herself. And then she ran her vehicle into a tree. Sorry, a telephone pole. She sent me pictures of that and pictures of her leg all fucked up and pictures after the surgery. And she was proud of that battle wound. Natalie was proud of that. Anyway, I went to Virginia like I said I would. Halfway there, I turned around and I rescued Jamie. So all the people that I'd planned on going to see, that would be Ed Simmons and Amanda DeMette and Brett Roloff and Mariah Roy, no, not Mariah Roy, Mahalia Jean-Pierre and Rachel, I believe her name was, and of course Sage. And I was going to see Natalie and Alicia too. But turning around to rescue Jamie and the boy halfway through the trip took a lot of gas money. I had to earn more gas money. I was finally able to make it back to Virginia. Well, to Virginia. I hadn't made it there the first time. And during this time, me and Candace, we're still kind of friends with each other. Well, while I'm in Virginia, she let me know that the reason she kicked me out is because I had quit my job. Well, I didn't quit my job. I was fired for having medical issues. On the bright side, having to move was not a big major issue. Being lied to about it was. And that's where me and Candace stopped being friends, when I was in Virginia in 2016 visiting Natalie and Alicia. I was staying behind where Alicia's boyfriend worked. That was a Starbucks 2 doors down from where Natalie and Alicia worked. Alicia got permission from her boss for me to stay back there because it's attached to the same building. So I wasn't technically parked out behind the Starbucks. I was parked behind the Cricket store that Alicia Bollinger worked at. Natalie did not work there. She lost her job because she got her leg all fucked up. Anyway, while I was there, Candace let me know that job crap. And I was just done with that. I'm done with people fucking lying to me and fibbing at me. I mean, I really, really needed some help during that situation. And I also needed help with instead of her hounding me about drawing stuff for Jeremiah. And I'm like, there's a whole table full of fucking artwork. Why don't you go take a look? No matter what I draw, it's just not good enough. So then, being in Virginia, her saying that, me stopping being friends with her, you know, that was done and over with. Just like with a few other people whose names you're going to become familiar with. Now, Candace Bondurant, when Natalie disappeared, me and Candace hadn't been friends for over a year by that point. We stopped being friends in October of 2016. So in January of 2019, when she's getting a hold of me and saying that she wants to help, I was just hoping she wasn't going to pull the same bullshit. Tell me she's gonna and then back out and give me some bullshit lie. Especially in a situation as serious as that. Natalie Bollinger wasn't just missing, she was dead. I've been trying to get help for over a year, trying to take her and her friends to court for the fucking stalking and all that bullshit. They needed to leave me the fuck alone. They should have let me go see my loved ones. But no, we can't let you do that. No, if a girl is embarrassed, we're supposed to destroy a man's life. Isn't that how it goes? So Candace Bondurant, she said that she was going to come and help me. This is after the assault by the Boulder Police Department. This is after they know that Natalie's dead. I've been cut off repeatedly from the resources that I need or the people that I need to speak with. And the ones that are speaking with me are going out of their way to not understand what the hell it is that I'm saying and to try to overwhelm me. When I asked them not to do something because it's overwhelming me, they would do it repeatedly. Probably the biggest problem child as far as that goes is that Cara Rogers lady. She just wouldn't stop. Later on, there was Shannon Alvarado. Now, with Shannon Alvarado, there was multiple occasions where I told her, hey, don't contact me again. Leave me alone. Stop. But she just wouldn't. And she'd promise me and promise me and promise me, just like alcoholics always do when they're fucking abusive, but then they think, oh, well, you know. If I make promises, maybe it'll make up for what I did wrong. Well, her promises didn't make up for what she did wrong because she didn't follow through. And after being there at her place, I understand it's alcoholism. With Candace Bondurant, it wasn't alcoholism, it was just straight bullheadedness. She came down to Boulder, Colorado to pick me up and take me to Haxton. That's where she lived, and she worked at the hospital there under Dr. Cody Craig. When we went there, I told her I needed to get my wrist x-rayed and my back x-rayed, and that I needed to take a whiz quiz. Well, Candace didn't understand why I needed to take a whiz quiz. She wanted to argue. I said, well, the reason that I need to take a whiz quiz is because these people are trying to claim that I'm on fucking drugs, and I'm not. I needed them to take a drug test. That would have shown I was not on drugs. They should have taken a drug test at every fucking hospital that I was at. But no, they outright refused. Why wouldn't they? That's a good fucking question right there. Why wouldn't they? You can see on my hospital paperwork here, well, yes, they did administer a UA. And it's specific. Imagine that. So let's get back to Candace Bondurant. While I'm at her house, she takes me to her house. I've already had a few issues with Darren O'Connor. Darren O'Connor's an idiot. Not my fault. Anyway, moving on. Candace Bondurant, she brings one of her work computers home the next day. Now she says that I can use this work computer and that I could use the work computer to do the stuff that I need to on the internet. Well, it won't work, and it definitely won't work for recording. It's a big, giant pain in the ass. And there's these pictures on Candace's wall. So I try to take the pictures down, and she says, no, it'll be fine. Well, she didn't know. She'd never been through something like this before. She said she'll be fine, the girls will be fine, it's all fine. She's got a 45, she'll put one between somebody's eyes and all this, that, and the other, everything's fine. So, she also got me some weed. Very sweet of her. That would be marijuana. And by the way, marijuana is legal in the state of Colorado. So, she didn't break the law. Anyway, not at that point. While I was there, it was difficult to get anything done because I didn't have actual functional internet. My phone would barely work there. It sucked. And it was after the assault by the Boulder Police Department, in specific Officer Waylon Lolatai, who was all over the news for assaulting at least 6 other individuals on camera the very same year. I was the first. Nobody listened to me, so he got to hurt other people too. And you're going to get to see a lot of that. A lot of predators of mine that I tried to turn in that later went on to hurt many other people. But those predators call me mentally ill, and you eat it up because that's what you want to believe. Same thing with Candace. When I was making the video, she let me know not shortly after that people were sending pictures and posting up pictures in some of these Natalie Bollinger groups of her old living room with those pictures on the wall. So she got scared and she made her Facebook private, and I tried to encourage her to call the police. She said, oh no, it's fine. No, it's not fine. That needed to be documented and it needed to be turned in. Then Candace, after a couple of days, she brought a better computer. This is a different computer from work. This is one that she can take home, but the problem is it's not working either. I don't have the special code so that when I try to share information, like when I try to share a YouTube site, I can't even get to YouTube on this thing. It's stupid. So I'm not a computer guy, and I don't have her work code, and I'm sure they would probably have some problems with Candace's work computer at work being logged in on her account, as well as her work computer at home being logged into her account. But also not having the internet, that sucked. So I let her know I need the internet. There's got to be somewhere I can go to get the internet. I need to be able to have the internet to do this stuff. And her only internet was on her phone. So the only time I could work on this stuff is when her and her daughters were there, and I gotta mind my P's and Q's because, well, I gotta talk about rape and murder, and I'm sure she doesn't want that shit being heard by her kids. And mind you, Candace has already pulled some bullshit on me by this point. So with her pulling the bullshit in Virginia and her pulling the bullshit before Virginia, I was expecting more bullshit, and sure enough, here it comes. So then there's a situation where Rochelle Shelley Campbell claimed that she was going to try to help me get this information out there. And so I gave her all of the information that she needed for her to look at everything. The detectives in Natalie's case already had all that. They already had access to all that. They didn't need nothing from me. I gave that to Rochelle Shelley Campbell so she could see it with her own 2 eyes. I gave her access, literally gave her access to my Facebook and to my YouTube so she could look at them for herself. So that she could actually look at the conversations between me and a lot of different people. So that she would know the truth. No, she was just interested in playing head games. I didn't find that out until much later. Although I should have known, it's one of Ted's exes. Anyway, so there was a pocket dial by Miss Shelley, and I was afraid that maybe Ted was killing her for talking to me. She was pretty sure it was Ted at that point too. She was scared shitless, and so was Danica Garner. They're all afraid of Ted for good reason. So when I pocket dial a Haxton officer named Michael Beard, of course I've gone with Candace to the hospital by this point. I got the x-rays of my wrist. It's nerve issues, and my wrist isn't broken. It's just hurting like a son of a bitch. So I start trying to write, and it hurts like a son of a bitch. They also took x-rays of my back that said that I got degenerative disc disease, which is great news, right? So, no whiz quiz though, which pissed me off. You know, I shouldn't have to argue about that. That should be something that's fucking standard. These people are saying that I'm on fucking drugs. I want to be able to take a fucking whiz quiz and prove that I'm not on fucking drugs. I got a bunch of fucking junkies accusing me of being a goddamn junkie. You want me to be fucking happy about that? When I am literally being victimized by a bunch of junkies and their friends and family because they want to pretend that I'm a fucking junkie? And we're not talking about just fucking harassing me on the internet and making a bunch of fucking fake profiles to harass me. We're talking about threats, harassment, and intimidation in real life. So with that pocket dial and the cop already being outside of Candace's house, and the 911 call didn't even get through to him until he'd already been parked and talking with me for a few minutes. So that's when Candace, you know, the next day, she tells me that the cops followed her on her way to take her kids to school and stopped her. And then they came and harassed her for work, which is at the hospital. And that I had to find a place to go. So I did. Laura Nelson gave me a ride to Niwot, Colorado, and I stayed at Todd Ryan Case's house for a couple of days. Turns out he's friends with Ted Bollinger. Didn't find that out until just last year, though. Isn't that scary? So, I knew that he might be related to the Kelly side of the family, though. That part I did know. He told me that in 2018 in January. No, I think he told me that in April. I think it was quite a ways into the year, actually. But anyway, from Candace's, that's where I got dropped off. And then with Candace having her family threatened and harassed, according to her anyway, her being threatened with being thrown out into the snow if she lets me stay there for a couple of days. Like, she just did everything that she could to try to make it the scariest fucking environment possible. Anyway, the stuff that I was able to do, given the limitations of her work computer, I did. Later on, when I was letting Candace know, hey, you should have fucking turned that shit in, like I said to. If that shit really happened, you should have helped me to turn it in. But no, she didn't want to do that. At that point, what she wanted to do was blame me because people victimized her. She wanted to blame me because people victimized her for trying to help me. It's my fault, apparently, that people chose to do evil shit to Candace and her kids. Meanwhile, if those things really happened, she needs to speak up about them. If she lied to me to manipulate me, well, that is extremely wrong. She was supposed to bring my hospital paperwork home with her, and she never did. So later on, when I was at Clearview, she was supposed to send that stuff to Clearview, and apparently she did, and I needed them to take an x-ray of my back at Clearview because I'd been assaulted at Clearview. I'd also been assaulted at the, I want to say, the Louisville Hospital in Boulder County. Whatever excuse they could come up with. Then I got released into the snow and the cold. I had to make a choice between my gear that was life-saving or the evidence that would have helped stop this abuse from getting into this horrible mess that it became. I didn't choose my life-saving gear. I chose to save the evidence. So Candace Bondurant, I let her know what I was going through and that I needed her to speak up. I needed her to tell the truth about that shit. I needed her to help turn it in. She wasn't very fucking nice to me about it, so I did what it was, of course, calling for at that point, cursing. Got to put a lot of emphasis on it. This is a life or death situation, Candace. Tell the truth or people end up dead. That's not a threat. That is a fact. If you turn a blind eye to these predators, they're gonna continue to kill people. Not all deaths are quick. So with Candace Bondurant, she had set up a GoFundMe. She did, not me. You guys keep telling me about the tens of thousands of dollars that I got from GoFundMes. No, I literally did not get a single fucking penny. Candace Bondurant made one of those, and a woman named Cara Rogers made the other one. And now when I was telling off Candace Bondurant, instead of posting up the entire truth, which she did, is pick and choose little bits and pieces she could use to try to pretend I'm the bad guy because I cursed. What the fuck did she do to deserve that cursing? That's what should have been asked. So I sent that shit to Cara Rogers, who had already at that point, there was a group with about 30 people in it that were willing to help me. Cara Rogers, instead of asking me, because see, that's how it always goes. Nobody ever asks me my side before they go and do fucked up shit. Candace Bondurant made sure that, of course, I didn't get a single penny out of that GoFundMe. And of course, she also convinced Cara Rogers to destroy that one that she had made. So there's the other GoFundMe, not a single penny out of that. Meanwhile, I would have had a GoFundMe of my own if somebody would have helped me to set it up. It's not that I hadn't been trying. I've got the evidence that I was trying before Natalie was killed. I was trying to get help. All these people making all these suggestions, but they're not helping me to do these things. And they're abusing me if I don't do what they want. They're treating me like shit if it doesn't work out, if I'm not able to. Instead of helping me to troubleshoot it, they treat me like fucking shit. Do you have any idea what kind of fucking friends those are? Those aren't fucking friends. But then again, you don't accept me into your fucking society anyway, so who fucking cares? After that, after Candace Bondurant did that, wanted to play fucking victim after doing such fucked up shit. No, she needed to come forward and tell the fucking truth instead of letting me get treated like I'm a fucking schizophrenic nut job for the things that she told me. She needed to come forward about those things. When I said people were threatening and harassing my friends and family, I fucking meant it. But did they come forward? No. No, instead they all wanted to treat me like it's my fault. No, it is not my fucking fault. Candace Bondurant should have taken a look at that stuff. Now, after I had given Rochelle Shelley Campbell access to my internet stuff while I was at Candace's, I told her I'd give it to her for 3 days and I wouldn't mess with it so she could look at it as long as she needed it to. And then the next day, that's when Candace Bondurant decides that she's going to allow me to have her phone all day so that I can use the internet. She's like, you can do all that stuff now. I'm like, no, I can't. I told Shelley that I would let her have my Facebook for 3 days. Okay, no, I can't. I can't hop on there right now. She's on my fucking Facebook right now, looking at this stuff, looking at the evidence, looking at the conversations between me and Natalie. If she's looking at that stuff and I log in from here, then there's going to be a security error and a security issue, and we can't have that. If you can help me to bypass that, that'd be fine. I don't know how to do that stuff, though. And, of course, with it being her work computer, I mean, Jesus, what was I going to do? Meanwhile, with all this evidence, fucking shit ton of overwhelming evidence on the internet, and I couldn't even show it. I couldn't even show it. The assault by way of Molokai resulted in Boulder Police Department putting some sort of a lock on my phone. I was never able to get it off. Miss Peaches, that's Kayla Trujillo, she finally took it off my phone while I was staying at Tabitha Michelle Cook's in Longmont. Candace Bondurant, I've seen her a couple of times since. She does the smart thing and goes the fuck away. Hell yes, I'll tell her off if she's dumb enough to stop. If you're going to be predatory like that, I'm going to fucking scream until you go away. You do not get another chance to fucking victimize me like that. 3 strikes and you're out, Candace. When you want to paint me as the bad guy because you chose to let these predators go free. You chose not to turn it in. You chose to use that as a point of manipulation. And look, Candace. Look what it got you. There's no consequences for you because you have a family that gives a shit. But you did some severely wrong stuff, Candace. No, your kids are not a valid excuse, and you don't get to pretend that I'm being selfish because I didn't think about just your kids, you fucking dumb cunt. Same thing with you, Dallas Richmond. You don't get to pretend like I'm a piece of shit because I didn't think about just your kids. And Mandy Hughes doesn't get to pretend that I am a fucking horrible person and a selfish piece of shit just because I didn't think about just her kids. In each and every one of these scenarios, each and every one of these women was being selfish and thinking about just their kids. Same thing with Cara Rogers, aka Cara Mia. Same thing with Danica Garner. Same thing with Rochelle Shelley Campbell. None of these people gave a fuck about each other's kids, did they? No, they didn't. Anyway, my car is probably cool enough now that I can put the antifreeze in it. When I needed a friend the most, Candace showed me that she's the worst friend I've ever had. The reason for this is because after Natalie died, I had one chance. one chance to try to do something. One chance to protect myself. One chance to defend myself. Because when you're homeless, there's no such thing as innocent until proven guilty. You're just assumed to be guilty, and here's your irons. Here's your number, and here you go. Candace didn't want to understand that, and how could she? She's female. How could she ever possibly understand this? She's a female. These things do not happen to women. So, of course, when I needed help the most, the issues that she knew that I was having, she wanted to pretend that those didn't exist so that she could blame me. Meanwhile, if I could have gotten that dumb cunt into court, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'd have been able to get her to fucking admit to the issues that I had with her computers, that it was not my fault and not my decision. After years of anger, she's just going to remember it however she wants to, which is why it was important at that point in time to turn it in, while her memories were still fresh. Instead, Candace Bondurant made me an even greater target for more harm. Tried to play fucking victim because I told the truth. And because I was angry about the fact that she didn't. About the fact that she had manipulated me. About the fact that she had lied to me. About the fact that she went out of her way to make me fear for her and her family. Just like Rochelle Shelley Campbell did. Just like, well, Rochelle Shelley Campbell did when she called me, pocket dialed me, after telling me what a horrible person Ted is and how afraid she is of him. These guys didn't play on some evil nature. No, they had to claim that they were afraid of someone else. And when I did something to try to help them, they got to use that to pretend I was a fucking monster. No, here's the thing. These people were in contact with me and stayed in contact with me, and it was by their choice, their decision. Rochelle Shelley Campbell got in contact with me, not the other way around. Rose M. Kelly got in contact with me, not the other way around. Cute, right? Well, back at my car. I suppose I can pop the hood and take care of that. Oh, come on. There it goes. With Candace Bondurant, I was able to get some information from her mom about the situation, record that, and put it on YouTube. People sure don't like it when you record them telling you these things. If it's the truth, you should have no problems with saying it in court. You should have no problems with making a police report. If you're not willing to do that, and you're afraid of your words being on YouTube, Well, how the hell am I supposed to trust anything you say to me? Yeah, I get that you're pissed off that you're on YouTube. Maybe you should have done the right thing. Instead of forcing me to put that stuff up on YouTube. I told every single one of you, don't tell me anything that you wouldn't tell the police. Because I'm going to take it to the police. And if the police won't listen, I'll make it public. People seem to have a real hard time following those simple fucking boundaries. If you cannot follow those simple boundaries, you do not get to talk to me about boundaries. You don't get to change the rules whenever it fucking suits you. That's not okay. When we make an agreement, it's an agreement. If you do not keep your end of the agreement, I am under no obligation to keep mine. You've already broken the deal. And that's where all these people had an issue when they broke the deal. They didn't think that it was okay, that even though they had broken the deal, that I was no longer obligated. Let me tell you something. If you agree with a farmer that you're going to buy a tomato for 50 cents, you owe him 50 cents for a tomato, pay up, you don't owe him anymore, and you get your tomato. That's a pretty simple concept, and it can be applied to just about anything. If he says it's 50 cents a tomato, and you tell him you give him 50 cents for a tomato, but you never give him the 50 cents for the tomato, well, he's not obligated to give you the fucking tomato. That's not how it works. If you pay somebody 50 cents for a tomato and they never give you the tomato, well, that's not okay, is it? Keeping your word is important. When it comes to an at-risk adult, well, we're on our own. We're screwed. We're on our own. Candace Bondurant didn't want to listen to understand. She wanted well, she was in a bit of a state of panic herself. And I can understand that. But she never tried to understand mine, my situation, my point of view. Did Joanna Taylor Smith? Did Teresa Orne? Did Derek Parrish? Did Christopher Tapp?